Inside Monrovia, a show created and hosted by our community, spotlighting local businesses, organizations, and incredible people that make up our neighborhood. This is Inside Monrovia. Thanks so much for watching Inside Monrovia. If you're from Monrovia or a neighboring city, or you're just now finding out about our town, welcome. We hope that by the end of this show, you'll feel a little bit more like a part of our community. My name's Chris Los. I am an M-Town graduate, class of 93 alumni, and I am joined by a good friend of mine who is also my classmate, Jatana Walker. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Glad to be here. I'm fantastic.
I love that. As you always are when you come in, your energy is always amazing. Coming up later on the show, we're going to be spotlighting Keisha Bowen and the amazing work that she's doing at Simply Divine. If you've been here in Monrovia and you've driven down Huntington Drive, across from that Popeyes shopping center, you're going to see Simply Divine Beauty School, Barbershop. London Lee is going to be having a conversation with her later on the show, so you'll get to hear what's really going on over there. And I'm going to tell you that it's way more than you might have ever thought could be happening right there on Huntington Drive. Now, Tani, last episode, you, Kaylee, and I were talking about health, mental wellness, kind of the cross-section of that. Let's go a little bit deeper, if you could, with the gut health.
Sure.
That was so interesting.
It is. It's actually really fascinating when you learn that our microbiome literally makes 90% of our serotonin. Our serotonin is our feel-good hormone. Without it, we would never have a mood that's lifted. So diet is really important to creating that feel-good hormone for yourself. When you fill your gut with processed foods, lots of sugar, lots of inflammatory oils, which we'll talk about, it really imbalances the microbiome, and things just get all kinds of out of whack. And mood and mental health is greatly affected. If you think about a lot of our artificial dyes and colors, a lot of the toxins in our processed foods, our bodies simply just don't recognize it as food and treat it as a foreign invader. So stranger danger turns on and your immune system can kick in. So what we want to do is we want to think about how can we eat foods that our body wants, accepts, absorbs, and then all sorts of things happen, including just feeling better and being in a slightly better mood. With the microbiome, it's good and bad bacteria, so there's both, and they have to live together cohesively, and they usually do in a healthy gut.
If you're helping
foods,
it balance.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, and diet would be the first thing if you need to balance that you want to start with, because it's just an inside out, right? It's fixing the problem from the inside out. We are more bacteria than we are human DNA. So it's quite important to make sure that gut is happy and healthy, right? Because it makes up the majority of our body. Just simple ways to make sure you do that is to reach for a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables. Every single color has different receptors. They hook onto different receptor cells in our bodies. They have different functions. They're then transported to the liver or the heart, or they split them up in your body. Our bodies are magical. They know what to do with this stuff. You just got to give it to them, right?
Right.
The other thing you want to watch out for is inflammatory oils. So I'm sure most of us have heard about leaky gut syndrome.
Okay, that sounds terrifying. Inflammatory oils.
Yeah. Well, when you think about all sickness and disease, it's inflammation in the body. Even Alzheimer's is inflammation of the brain. Arthritis is inflammation of the joints. So really thinking of what causes the flammability. Is that a word?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So when you think about our very heavy processed foods that are made with pretty much nothing but canola and corn oils, they're so heavily processed. Did you know that they actually have to be washed with bleach before they're put on the shelves because the smell is so rancid? So these jars of oil sitting on the shelf at the market that are just yellow and thick and sitting there, those are inflammatory oils. Even conventional meat, because of what they feed the conventional animals, causes their fat to be inflammatory, then we eat that and we're getting more inflammatory fat. So when I talk about the body needing fat, it's got to be the good fat, not just any old fat.
So what is a good fat?
So good fat, think about anything you can squeeze fat out of. For instance, an avocado, you can kind of squeeze the oil out of it. An olive, you can squeeze the oil out of it. Coconuts, in theory, you can squeeze the oil out of. When you think of a corn kernel, can't really squeeze oil out of that, right? It has to be broken down and processed, and all this stuff happens to it. Your body doesn't know what it is anymore. It's no longer corn.
So what is a canola that you squeeze?
Canola is I'm not, I think it's it's corn oil. I think it's just another name for corn oil. Yes, but canola is in everything. Even everything organic, it will guarantee almost definitely have canola oil in it. So you just have to look at the label, just look at the ingredients. I don't care if there's 30 grams of fat in a tablespoon of whatever it is. What kind of fat is it?
Right.
You know, if it's heart healthy, that's keto state, right? If it's fat we're actually using for fuel, we want that kind of fat. Your body uses it, especially when you don't have as much sugar in the bloodstream anymore, kicks into burning fat for fuel. There's your keto state. We don't stay in keto state. Your body naturally should fluctuate throughout the day, but it's not going to burn, you know, inflammatory oil. It's going to store that oil instead. So that's where it goes into your arteries. That's when it goes into your joints, causes that inflammation.
Wow.
So fats, really important. Variety of vegetables, really important. And my number one thing, we all know about probiotics. Everyone's heard about probiotics. Mm-hmm. Most people are taking a probiotic. Oh yes, I have probiotics. Oh yes, I have probiotics.
Or yogurt.
Yogurt, sure. How much sugar is in that yogurt though? Are you sure that's not canceling out those probiotics? Right? The sugar is feeding the bad bacteria, but then so my suggestion is you don't know which bacteria you're deficient in. A doctor can't measure that, at least yet. They don't even know all the billions of varieties of bacteria that could be there. The best way to feed your good bacteria is to eat fermented foods. Fermented foods are the most bioavailable way for your body to absorb the probiotic. Yeah. It's not just one. There's a whole bunch of probiotics in that fermented food. So whether it's sauerkraut, which everyone turns their nose up on, however, I've gotten to love it. I actually just put a forkful into my salad, mix up, and it adds so much flavor. You hardly need dressing. But if that's too much for you, a lot of people love kimchi. It's a little spicier. You can put that with any stir fry, with anything. If you eat a little bit of fermented foods with your meal, you will digest that meal no problem. So sauerkraut, kimchi, real pickles. Now they have them, you just can't find, it's not that jar on the shelf that's just white vinegar. They have some. Go to the refrigerated section and see if you can find the pickles that are bubbly.
Okay.
That's fermented foods.
So like at the taco spot with the little bag of carrots. And
yes, those are fermented. Most other cultures knew to add a little fermented foods with that meal to help digestion. The pickled ginger with Japanese food, all those little things. Americans just didn't really catch on to that, but we are now.
Yeah, we did more of the oils with like the oil that sits at the bottom of the bag on the French fries.
Yeah.
That type of oil.
Yeah. Yep. Or we go to the fair and it's that same, vat of oil, or probably any fast food restaurant.
So safe to say those oils, when the bag gets oily, that's not the good oil.
That's probably not the good oil. But we do live in an area where we have access to options. For instance, True. I will never ever give up my chips and salsa. Ever. It's a daily thing for me. I know exactly around the time of day that I crave it and I want it. So I had to find chips that were healthier for me, that aren't made with canola oil, that aren't fried in, the corn oil. Guess what? They're out there. Even Trader Joe's has one. It's made from cassava chips and avocado oil. So I'll eat the whole bag.
So here in Monrovia, mm-hmm. where would a couple like Trader Joe's, mm-hmm. you've got Sprouts, mm-hmm. I'm asking you because you would know better than I, like what are some other places that have good foods like that?
Sure. You can still find it at any market. You just have to be careful of those aisles. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've heard, sure you can go to the market, but just avoid anything in the middle. Everything around the edges.
With the refrigerators.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Except for the boxed refrigerator.
Right.
Right.
Right. The packaged refrigerator processed. But you have, that wall of fresh fruits and vegetables. You have the wall of different meats. It's just navigating now. What's my healthiest banana? Would it be the conventional banana or maybe the organic? The only difference, there's a lot of differences, but the main one you have to think about is that banana grew up with healthier soil without those pesticides sprayed on it, so it just has more nutrients to it. So if you're going to decide to eat a banana for the nutrients, wouldn't you want the most nutrient dense one? So organic, it's not necessary. Still, conventional produce is still better than no produce at all, right? But if you have the option, it just gives you a little more bang for your bite.
So in the putting it all together,
Mm-hmm.
right, into our gut, it would just kind of be over balancing it with the good stuff.
Yes, I use the term crowding out.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love that.
Crowd out with more good stuff. Still have the bad stuff, but I bet you if you ate some good stuff first, you're not going to eat as much as the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So just add in and just think of colorful vegetables, healthy oils, and some fermented foods.
Okay. Well, look, I want to come back and I want to talk about things that people could just do
Absolutely.
to help change their current
Yes,
state,
yes.
right, of their diet. So before we get to our local spotlight, we've got a great one for you right here. But there's an M-Town alum that we wanted to shine a little light on. Tani, this dude is talented in the kitchen.
Nice.
He creates with great food. Like, he's helped my gut health, I could say
Love
that, for the past year. Monrovia alumni, entrepreneur, so you get to know him before we get to that local spotlight.
Hi guys, John here with Big John Meal Preps, born and raised in Monrovia. Just got a quick little tip or trick for you if you're doing shopping, and really pay attention to the back of the ingredients on the products that you're buying. From left to right, usually they say the importance of the products that are in there. So if your first couple ingredients are high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, canola oil, these are usually products I try to stay away from. So if you're looking for a little convenience, looking to eat a little bit healthier in your life, hit me up at Big John Meal Preps on Facebook, Instagram, and ask about free delivery, and appreciate your time.
Hello guys, my name is London Lee. I have a special guest actually. I don't want to say I'm joined, I have a special guest. I'm joined by Keisha Bowen from Simply Divine, Beauty Supply, Barbershop, and a million other things. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, so stay tuned. So Keisha, can you tell me about yourself?
First of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and just talking about me and my story. So my name is Keisha Carter. Bowen is my married name. I was born and raised in Duarte. I've owned a business in Monrovia for the last 28 years, and it's called Simply Divine. Simply Divine has a salon, a barbershop, which were the originals, and recently, within the last 5 years, I've opened a beauty supply and a cosmetology and barbering school. So I do a lot here in the city. I have a heart for the community, and I just absolutely love what I do.
Wow. And it's special that you said that you love what you do, because I've been to the shop numerous of times at both your locations when you were on Foothill and now that you're on Huntington Drive, and I see the camaraderie between the employees. How do you keep that camaraderie up between the barbers and the hairstylists, and also just run the day-to-day business that you do every day?
It's not easy. For my 50th birthday, I retired from behind the chair. So I don't stand behind the chair and do hair anymore, but I'm always in the salon, talking to the customers, talking to the stylist. I have kind of monthly meetings to try to keep everybody on the same page. I have to meet with the barbers more than I do with the hairstylists to remind them about professionalism, because a barbershop is different than a hair salon. And they both kind of feed off each other. We have conversations that they don't like to have with me, but they all respect me. We've worked together for a long time. So I think because they respect my position and because I'm there, I'm active, I'm in the business, it makes it, flow much better versus being a business owner that's not there, especially in this industry. People that are not working in the hair salons and the barbershops, stuff just gets out of control. But because I'm there, I can see everything. I can address the issue if I see it going on. I can communicate with the customer, hey, thank you for your business. I think that's what makes everything flow much better.
Okay. Well, I want to take it back a little bit.
Okay.
Like, I think that, everyone can Google. We have Google, we have social media. They can look up Simply Divine. But let's talk about you and what made you start this type of business. I mean, you probably could have done a million other things, but what made you get into the salon and hair business?
Okay. So I was the little girl raised by a mother that I consider she had pretty hair. Her hair texture was pretty. All of my cousins had either long hair or a nice texture. And then there was me. My mother couldn't even comb my hair because she couldn't relate to the hair texture. So I just started off young with hair issues, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do my own hair. So I always wanted to do hair because I wanted to do my hair, and I wanted to make sure, that I looked decent going to school.
Yes.
So my dad owns a business, and he was actually mad that I didn't want to work in his business. When I got out of high school, I was like, I'm gonna do hair. So I went to school, got my license, and hair has been it since I was 18.
That's an interesting story because there's a lot of people, a lot of kids that don't know what they want to do when they get older or graduate high school. I think kids think that let me go to college and that's the number one thing that they want to do. But I think entrepreneurship is something that I think each person should try to do individually because that brings a type of generational wealth. How do you feel about entrepreneurship versus traditional education?
Well, I love it. I think that a lot of parents today need to understand getting a college degree is not for everybody. I did mine's different. Like I said, I went to cosmetology school, got my license, and within 2 years I opened my own salon. It was hard being an entrepreneur, but I come from a family. Like I said, my dad owns his own business, so that was really all that I knew. I later went to school and eventually I got a master's degree, but that was like 10 years after I owned my own salon, and I only did that to prove a point to my son because I was one of those parents that wanted to stress to the kids, when you go to college. My oldest son said to me one day, why I gotta go to college? You didn't go to college and you own a business. Wow. So I went back to school, finished and got my degree just to prove a point to him. But I had already owned the business. I think if a lot of parents would realize entrepreneurship is a good thing, but people that want to be entrepreneurs, they need to realize it's hard work. You're not getting a set paycheck, but if it's your passion, whatever the business is, if it's your passion, you'll do well in it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to touch on is during these times, like we see a lot of movement for Black Lives Matter, us being black folk in particular. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that aside from COVID, how do you feel that the Black Lives Matter movement and being a black business owner affects your revenue stream moving forward?
It affects it greatly, in a good way, in a positive way. And the reason why I say that is because the businesses that I own, they're for everybody. We have all nationalities coming to the hair salon and the barbershop and even the beauty supply. But at the end of the day, a lot of people support just because it's a black-owned business. They only want to go to a black-owned business. Yeah, they could go to another barbershop, another beauty supply, and especially the school, but they'll walk in and say, is this a black-owned business? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll be back. So it's, with everything that's going on, the Black Lives Matter movement was good. It let people know that there's positive in black people. There's positive in black lives. All of us are not running, bootleg stuff. It's professionalism, and we're trying to grow just like everybody else. But at the end of the day, it's brought us all closer together as a people. But it's great for my business.
Most definitely. I think that it is great. I think that more people should support black businesses, no matter what you have going on. Support black businesses because we don't get those opportunities that other people get in America. And I think that's important to let the city of Monrovia know, city of Duarte know, whoever sees this know those type of struggles and what's going on in the black community. My next question for you would be, obviously you can see my haircut is fresh. I know you guys see that. But how has COVID affected the bottom line as far as how you run day-to-day operations and any changes that you have to make because of what the government states?
COVID affected my business big time because we were one of the industries, as you know, when the shutdown first happened, we shut down. I almost lost my business. I almost went out of business because we got business owners, building owners that don't care about COVID. They still want their money. Wow. Well, if that's my only source of income and I'm self-employed, and I wasn't one of the people that got the business loans, but they still want their money. When we came back in to the business, like right now, we're operating at 25% capacity. That means we have every other chair is able to operate. The stylist and the barbers are rotating their schedule, so they're kind of working on a split schedule. But we're so grateful just to be back in there because we're there. We're doing temperature checks. Nobody can come into the building without getting their temperature checked, making sure they don't have any signs of COVID. And everybody has to wear a mask. The barbershop's not able to provide any service where they have to remove the mask. So beard lineups and all that, we can't do that. I think that we should have not been affected, meaning the beauty and barbering industry, because the instructor in me will tell you that's what we do. Health and safety, sanitation. We're the industry that is always sanitizing, spraying down, washing your combs, cleaning your clippers. But the government and the world saw fit to shut us down. And I just pray that we can control this COVID virus so that the self-employed person can continue to operate business. It's scary when you drive down Huntington Drive and you see places like Claim Jumpers shut down. It's like, oh my God. So it's scary, but we've changed our day-to-day routine on how we operate, how customers come in, only the person receiving the service. You can't come in and hang out with your son. No, sorry, just the person that's receiving the service can come into the building because of this 25% capacity. And of course, the social distancing. So it's had a major impact. And then a lot of customers, they don't want to come back. They're scared. It's a lot of people that's scared to come out of their house. Yeah. So it's had a drastic impact on us, but we're just following the guidelines and moving along the best we can.
I think the 25% capacity and just not being able to have that barbershop feel is what I miss. Like being able to go to the barbershop and like today on a Saturday watch some college football, and maybe I'm not getting a cut until about 2 or 3, but I'm there at 12 just because I want to just talk to the barbers. It's like family. That's the normal thing that we're missing. And then now you can't even go in with your kids. I send my kid in to get a regular cut. He come out with something crazy. I'm gonna be upset. So it's difficult. So yeah. COVID is definitely affecting the barber and salon business.
Definitely.
The next question I would have for you would be, can you tell me about the struggle it was when you first opened your first salon? Was it hard, or did you find it to be easy?
Oh, extremely hard. And it's still a struggle to keep the businesses going for a few reasons. But when I opened my first salon, it was hard because, first of all, I was young. I was 19 years old. I was totally inexperienced. I was new to the hair industry, and I didn't even have a mentor. I want to talk about a mentor just for a minute. I think it's our responsibility as adults to reach down and help somebody else. If I would have had someone that was okay with mentoring me, sharing information with me, things could have been a lot smoother, but somebody in my industry. So it was hard. I had to figure it out. I had to figure out a lot of stuff. I knew the business aspect of it because of my dad's business, but I didn't know the hair salon business. I didn't know how to grow a clientele. I knew how to pay rent, but I didn't know how to advertise. And back then, that's a long time ago, 28 years ago, we didn't have social media. We had to do old school flyers, walk up to people. My communication skills was good because I had to learn how to talk to people. But it was tough. It was tough. It was tough getting certain people that you thought would support you, that should support you just because they grew up with you or they know you, wouldn't support you because they didn't want to see you do good. Because we still have that that mentality of, oh, I'm not going to help her, or I'm not going to show her anything because she'll do better than me.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It took me some years to kind of get things down pat to where the business could flow smoothly. I still have some challenges, but I learned how to go out and seek those people that have done what I did, before me, to say, hey, how do you do this? Or what, how do you do your accounting? Which way do you record this? So it's tough, but it's working out. If I would have had that a long time ago, I would have been much further ahead.
I love the part where you just said sharing information,
Oh, yeah.
mentorship, sharing information. I think in anyone's life, you always have to look up to see where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if they see a person like you, who's the model for where they want to be, they can learn from you. And I follow you on all social media platforms, and I love that you share information
Oh, yeah.
regarding everything that you have going on. And one of the things I did notice that you have going on is that you have a school. Can you touch on that and tell me about that aspect of the business that you're doing now?
Absolutely. So, like I shared with you earlier, after owning my own business for a long time, my oldest son gave me that little gut blow about going to school. So I went back to school, got a degree. Well, I went to Citrus and took some elective courses while I was working on my bachelor's degree, and the elective course happened to be teacher training, cosmetology teacher training. I had no idea that the lady that was teaching the class was actually the director of the cosmetology department. So I finished my degree, finished that class, and a couple of years later, there was a girl in my salon. It was her dream to be a teacher. I never wanted to be a teacher. So we went to the gym one day, and I went with her to drop off her application at Citrus College. Well, when we walked in, the lady at the desk that was interviewing her was Miss Brooks. It was my teacher from the teacher training class. And she was like, well, Keisha, don't you want a job? I'm going, no, I don't want to teach. Absolutely not. She was like, you should try it. She called me for a few months and kept saying, you should teach, you should teach. So I took the job part-time. I loved it. I was like, oh, wow, I kind of like this, because teaching students the basics. I taught at Citrus and a whole bunch of other community colleges for about 18 years while still owning the salon. A lot of people don't know that. I'll say the political arena. I was good enough to teach the teachers. I was good enough to teach the students. I was good enough to run the departments at 2 community colleges, but I was never good enough to get the full-time job.
Wow.
So me being the entrepreneur or the person that's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I said, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open my own school. So I did my research and I found out about apprenticeship programs. So I applied to open an apprenticeship program. It was easy for me because I wrote the curriculum for those schools. The Board of Barbering of Cosmetology approved my school, and I've had an apprenticeship program for cosmetology and barbering for about 6 years. So with the apprenticeship program, they go to school and they apprentice in salons. That's how the school thing came about. But I said I always wanted to open a traditional school, but I knew not to try that first. So I'm like, let me do this apprenticeship school and see how I can handle it. And it went pretty good. So the apprenticeship school now, I have about 85 students. There's so many people that work in salons and barbershops without license. Whether you like it or not, it's a reality. So the apprenticeship program helps those people get a license, learn all the fundamentals that they need to learn, pass state board, and still continue to work and provide for their family, which led me into my next thing. So after I did that for about 6 years, then I opened the traditional barber school.
Okay.
So the barber school now is about a year old. It's growing, and those students do schooling only. I chose to do barber first because when I first got my license around here, there was nowhere to go to barber school. You could go to cosmetology school at PCC or Citrus, but it was nowhere for barber school. Back then, Marinello's didn't even have barbering school. They only had cosmetology. So I was like, I'm gonna do barbering. I'm gonna bring barbering to my community. So I did barbering first, and it's working out. It's really working out, and it gives something different, a different form of education. I'm licensed by the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, and the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. So all state agencies, if you look up on the website, Monrovia, California pops up, Simply Divine, Barbering Academy, and Apprenticeship Training Center. So that's how the school came about. The community colleges wouldn't hire me. In my mind, that was going to be my retirement. Oh, I'm going to get this full-time job, and I'm going to retire. They wouldn't hire me. They would let me keep teaching part-time, but never full-time.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
That's some
that's
reality.
shocking. That's
some
reality.
for
That's
you.
reality.
Absolutely, it happens.
So the barbering school is that's a blessing in itself. Like I said, I know a few of the younger kids from Doherty, Monrovia that attend the school, and that's a blessing. Like you said, there wasn't one when you at Marinello, PCC, or Citrus. So that's definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
For a young kid, a young woman, or a young man to be able to come to the city of Monrovia and go through and get their barber's license from Simply Divine, from you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to touch on, as well as we discussed about your school, we discussed that. The one interesting thing that we talked about behind the scenes is your mobile barbering. That was so interesting to me, and I want you to touch on that, and then I'll feed off you after that.
Okay, so what it is it's a mobile unit. And inside of the mobile unit, we provide services, whether it's barbering or cosmetology, for people in general. So the unit was created. I bought the unit because I had customers that would come into the salon and to the barbershop wheelchair bound. They can't get out of the wheelchair. I even bent down one day to try to help a caregiver pick a girl up and put her in the shampoo bowl. And it's just hard. So they couldn't get their hair shampooed because it was too hard for them to get out of the wheelchair. So I saw the unit, had the idea, got the opportunity, bought the unit. It has a wheelchair ramp on the back of it. And it has a shampoo bowl inside that has a tilt bowl. So the person doesn't have to get out of their wheelchair to get their hair shampooed or cut or whatever.
Yes.
So that's how the unit came about. Well, now that we have the unit, the word is kind of growing. I have a nonprofit, it's called Simply Provide Foundation. And the word is growing. So I'm getting phone calls from people with COVID. I do a couple of group homes. I do a couple of convalescent facilities because they're people that live there, they can't come out. With COVID, they're shut down. So they call us up, we go in with the mobile unit, and we do their hair.
And that's very big. I don't think people understand how big that is for you to have a mobile unit that's wheelchair accessible, meaning it has a wheelchair ramp, and you can go to these locations and cut, these kids' hair that it's hard for them to get to the shop. I think people forget about the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act. I worked with disabled people most of my life. I worked with people who are wheelchair accessible, who are wheelchair bound, who can't get around. That's big. When you told me that, I just only thing I could think about is how amazing that is. And then you're telling me that, and then also kids with other disabilities such as autism. Can you touch on that and tell me why that's important? How you can go to these group homes and get these kids haircut without them coming to the shop, and why that's important.
So we have a lot of kids that come to the barbershop, and I have 2 barbers that they kind of have that touch to work on these kids, my son DeAndre and Art. They know how, you have to know how to work with a kid with autism because you never know what triggers them. It could be the light, it could be the sound, it could be the clippers. So in that unit, we have some kids that have autism really bad. So we get the opportunity to bring them onto the unit. We drive up to their house, and it's just them. It's nobody else. We have different things for them to hold because they like certain touch and feel to keep them calm while they're getting their haircut. And it's nobody but just them and the barber inside of the unit. We have some hairstylists, but the majority of those kids they're guys, and they're getting barber haircuts.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's
And the parents love it because they don't have to be, that's a traumatic experience for the kid and also for the parent. Nobody wants to see their child nervous and upset because there's too many people around. You never know what it is that triggers them. So it works.
That could throw a parent's whole day off, week off, you don't know.
Yeah, they really, some of them that have a hard time, they just dread bringing their child to the barbershop. So now the barbershop can go to them.
Wow, that's amazing. I think I don't have any more questions. Could you please tell the public where to follow you at on social media, and where's your shop located at?
Sure. So it's Simply Divine. Everything is Simply Divine. We have Simply Divine Hair Salon, Simply Divine Barbershop, Simply Divine Beauty Supply, Simply Divine Barbering Academy, and Simply Divine Apprenticeship Training Center. And we're located in Monrovia, 325 West Huntington Drive in Monrovia, right across the street from Popeye's Chicken. Everybody knows where Popeye's is. And all of my social media handles are that, Simply Divine.
Yeah.
Okay?
And my last thing I want you to tell to the general public, I want you to talk to not just the youth, but anyone that's planning to be an entrepreneur. What advice could you give them on how to start their own business, and what's the first thing they should do?
I'd love to share just a few tips. So I would say to the person that wants to be an entrepreneur, own a business of any sort. First of all, go into that business being an entrepreneur because you have a heart for it, not because you think you're just going to make $1 million. If you go in it because you have a passion, the money will come. Okay? The next tip I would tell them is do your research, do your homework. Understand everything it takes to run this business. And where you need help, go out and get a mentor. There are so many people out there that are willing to help you with the advice, the information that you need. Go out and grab you a mentor and then go into it. You don't have to have a whole bunch of money saved. You need to have some decent credit, and you need to be willing to do the work, because the behind the scenes is not all pretty. It's hard work. I still climb up and down ladders, teach classes, all that. But if you have a heart for it, it won't seem like work.
Thank you so much. Well, that'll conclude our interview here at Inside Monrovia. Everyone, you have a blessed week, and be COVID safe.
So I gotta say, after watching that, like #boss is all I can think about after hearing what Keisha Bowen has built right here in the city. So amazing. Also, this is probably the most serious you're ever gonna see London Lee. Like, check out his Instagram. If you need a laugh, he's gonna provide that for you on there. Shout out to my guy, but that was a great conversation. Tani, getting back to our health and what we're talking about, what are a few, we talked about gut health, we've talked about foods. What are some just things that people can apply instantly right now to change their health immediately?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, not to go too deep into this, but we have to remember we're all energy. We're energetic beings. Emotions are energy. So that's why emotions don't stay forever, right? Sometimes we get into a depression that's hard to get out of, but that's just almost building momentum into that energy, right? So thinking of ourselves as energy and a mood as energy, it's trying to shift that energy. It's trying to shift that mood, to alchemize it, to transmute it, to change the energy, which happens naturally. Nothing stays the same, but we have ways we can do it for ourselves that can, in my opinion, give us some instant feel-good hormones. So I have 5 things that I think one or all 5 of them you can try, and I can almost guarantee you will feel better afterwards.
Amazing.
Yes, so my first thing is breathing. Something that sounds so simple, but we just don't breathe correctly anymore. Most of us living in a state of fight or flight, which makes us take shallow breaths, and we use these upper respiratory muscles, and it keeps the body on alert. We want to get the body into a calm state, the rest and relax response. And that's where we want to live most of our day. Our body functions better there. We don't stress the body out when we're living there.
I can tell you, just from my experience with that on my Apple Watch.
Sure.
I love the breathing app that
Yeah,
it hits.
just
And
remind
it's this
you.
reminder,
Yep.
1 minute of breathing.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll be like, I don't have time for it. Every time that I've taken for it, I feel amazing right afterwards.
Yes. You have the ability to bend time. There's a Buddhist saying, if you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, you need an hour. Right? So you can think of breathing as a meditation practice. It kind of turned into a meditation practice for me, just practicing my breathing. When you take a deep breath through your nose, you connect to the vagus nerve. And that vagus nerve connects to the lower lobe of our lungs. That instantly turns on your rest and relax response. So let's all take a deep breath in through the nose. Feel your belly rise and exhale out all the air. You are changing and shifting the energy in the body, right? So that's number one, deep diaphragmatic breaths. The next thing is go outside, get some fresh air. I don't care if it's raining like today. There is sun behind those clouds. That sun will make you feel better. It changes our melatonin in our body. It changes our circadian rhythm. It helps regulate our circadian rhythm. And our pineal gland right here, the light through our retina is what makes us drowsy at night or makes us rise in the morning. That's why when the sun starts going down, we all get a little drowsy.
Yes.
What do? We flick on all the lights and we turn on the TV and we're like, no, it's too early. I can't go to bed right now. So that pineal gland that started with producing your natural melatonin gets shut off. It's like, oh wait, it's not nighttime. Let's get that adrenaline back going. There's your second wind. Good luck turning off that adrenaline in a few hours at 11 p.m. to try to go to sleep again. So our circadian rhythm can really help balance our sleep cycle, which is not part of my 5, but sleep is big when it comes to mood.
And I've seen the same for Sunshine, working from home.
Absolutely.
I'm in there, I'm on the computer, and it's just like hour after hour. And I get up, I'll get up and I'll stand and I'll stretch.
Sure.
But by stepping outside, for a
Few
few minutes into the sun,
yes,
it's such a great reset.
it's a huge shifter of energy.
Yeah.
Right. You've heard about in Seattle how it's one of the highest suicide rates, and they blame it on seasonal affective disorder. SAD, literally being sad from being in gloom.
Yes.
So many months of the year. They have I forget what they're called. I want to say light boxes. I think they're called light boxes.
Oh, I've seen those. Yes.
That actually mimic the vitamin D, the UV
sun.
rays from the sun, and people put them in their offices and everything. We don't have that problem here, fortunately. We can go outside and most of the days are nice and sunny, right?
Yeah.
So breathing, step outside, get fresh air. The next thing, move your body. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be a huge gym session. A quick, brisk walk around the block is going to shift that energy. It's just shifting. It's just shifting. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to take the steps to go do it yourself. Which sometimes, I've suffered from depression a few times in my life, and sometimes when you're there, you don't really want to get out of it. It's sometimes comfortable. It's sometimes you feel validated in why you're mad or why you're sad, and you want everyone to understand that. I get that. Sometimes we have to honor where you are in the moment. You just want to make sure you don't stay there for very long, right?
Yeah.
And even waking up the next morning, say you cry yourself to sleep, waking up the next morning, you have another chance to jump on a different vibration,
Yes.
right? But what do? We wake up and we think about what just happened the night before. Before you even crawl out of bed, you're right back into that vibration, right back into that same scenario. So move the body, just move the body. Do a couple jumping jacks,
And-
anything like that.
Yeah, and I love what you said there too. It's like, when you wake up in the morning, as opposed to thinking about what you were already feeling, and it's the shift of like seeing the opportunity to the new day.
Absolutely. Every day is a new opportunity to feel a little bit better,
Yeah.
in my opinion. When you think about vibrations and your momentum of the day, say it's a really stressful day and you're just in it to win it and you're just go, 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 go. Something happens and it's, it kind of brings you down and you're a little bit mad about it and you go. So when we sleep, you actually just pushed stop on that momentum train. You have the best opportunity when you wake up to jump on a different train. You can easily go back on that same one. But every single morning, even if you're having a horrible day, take a nap. You're cutting off that vibration. When you wake up, try to think about something else. It got to the point where I would wake up and notice where my thoughts were, which is hard to do. It's hard to be aware of your thoughts when you're first stirring. And when I noticed what I was thinking about and I didn't like it, I would switch to a silly song or a stupid thing to distract my brain and make me feel better. Just try not to think about it for as long as possible. Start your day with different intentions.
Yes.
A couple more things that will help us, I think. I know would help because it really helps me and it helps a lot of my clients. Grounding. Have you heard of grounding or
Yes.
earthing?
Yes.
It's literally walking outside barefoot and standing in the grass or dirt. Not on concrete, not on this pavement. connecting your bare feet to the earth. So we are charged. We have a lot of positively charged, which can be free radicals, can turn into cancer-causing cells. It's just too much, right? Connecting to the earth is negatively charged. By placing your bare feet or the palms of your hand on a tree, I'm going to go there, like hug a tree,
Yeah.
you actually can shift the free radicals in your body, and you actually neutralize those free radicals in the body, and you change the whole state of your being by standing barefoot in the grass. My last but not least thing, and I kind of mentioned this, is put on some happy music. Mine is 90s hip hop and reggae. I cannot be in a bad mood if I listen to 90s hip hop and
Same.
reggae.
Yeah.
Right? But whatever that is, put on a silly song, dance around, go in the bathroom where no one can see you, and just shake it off. Literally,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Taylor Swift, but I'm going to use it. Shake it off, right? So breathing, stepping outside, fresh air, moving with exercise, grounding, getting yourself connected, right? Just getting connected back to the way the body should naturally be. And if nothing else, throw on some happy music and just go there.
Tani, you're the best. Those
Well,
are,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Like
It
those
really
are,
helps.
Yeah, and everything you said is just such an easy thing to do.
It really is. It's so easy, people don't believe that it works.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, for sure.
You can even lose weight by breathing, and people think I'm crazy. Tai Chi, you lose weight because you are deep diaphragmatic breathing, and that's when your body burns fat cells instead of sugar for its fuel.
So I have a chance at a six-pack if I breathe a lot.
Totally. Big belly breaths. Well, they think of like when a baby's sleeping, the rise of their abdomen, and then when they
Yeah.
exhale, you can see their rib cage. That's full inhalation and exhalation. We don't do that as adults, especially trying to suck in your gut all the time, right? Like, ooh, I'm skinny. You're not breathing anymore.
Yeah, no.
So-
Well, look, Tani, how can people connect with you online? I enjoy watching you online because I just feel like, okay, I have someone I can watch who's living healthy, eating healthy.
Yes.
Let them know.
So on Instagram, I am Your Fairy Health Mother, at Your Fairy Health Mother. Facebook, Gatana Walker. And probably in the next month, I should have my website, yourfairyhealthmother.com up.
Dope. I love the IG. I love the Facebook. It's helpful.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you didn't know, I'm telling you, I watch it and it helps me.
Great.
So thank
Fantastic.
you. For sure. Look, thank you so much for checking out the show. Tani, thank you for coming also.
My pleasure.
It's been amazing. You can connect with us at inside.monrovia on Instagram. We'd love for you to tap in with us online. Got to thank our friends here at KGym for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you so much. And we will catch you again next time on Inside Monrovia.